You have been conditioned to believe that effort, struggle, and worry are the only paths to success. But what if I told you that the very act of striving is what keeps you from receiving? You were never meant to beg for what is already yours. The moment you desire something, it is done. It is already created in the unseen. Your only task is to align with it, to assume the feeling of already having it, and to trust the process. Look at nature. The sun does not struggle to rise. The river does not force itself to flow. The tree does not worry if it will bear fruit. They simply exist in harmony with the unseen intelligence that governs all things. You are no different. So why do you fight? Why do you doubt? Do you not see that the very act of worrying is an affirmation that you do not believe? And if you do not believe, how can it come to pass? Relax. Let go of the need to control every step. The moment you release resistance, the unseen forces move on your behalf. The universe is not working against you. It is responding to you. If you assume lack, lack is what you will see. If you assume struggle, struggle is what will persist. But if you assume that it is already done, that all is well, the world will shift to confirm your assumption. Do not ask how, do not ask when. That is not your concern. The seed does not question how it will become a tree. It simply trusts the unseen forces of nature. Be still, feel it as done, and watch as the universe works for you. The world you experience is not separate from you. It is a reflection of the assumptions you hold in the depths of your being. Everything you see, every event that unfolds, and every encounter you have is shaped by the inner world of your imagination. You may believe that circumstances happen to you, that life is an external force moving beyond your control, but this is an illusion. In truth, everything originates within. Consider for a moment that every belief you hold, every assumption you entertain with conviction, is the seed of a future reality. What you accept as true in your mind, whether consciously or unconsciously, takes root and eventually expresses itself in the world. You do not need to force it, nor do you need to concern yourself with how it will come to pass. The process is automatic, as natural as the rising of the sun or the growth of a flower from a seed. If you wish to understand why your life unfolds the way it does, look no further than your dominant thoughts and assumptions. Are you constantly dwelling in the idea of lack, failure, and struggle? If so, your external world will reflect these states back to you with unwavering accuracy. But if you choose to assume abundance, success, and ease, life must conform to these ideas just as faithfully. The world is a mirror, and it cannot reflect anything but the image you hold within. The power of imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the creative force of reality itself. Every great invention, every piece of art, every achievement first existed in the mind before it became visible. The same principle applies to your own life. What you persistently imagine, with feeling and conviction, must take shape in your experience. Doubt, fear, and worry are the great disruptors of this process. When you question whether your desires will manifest, when you look to the external world for proof instead of trusting your inner vision, you delay the very thing you seek. It is not enough to wish or hope. You must know, you must assume with unwavering faith that what you desire is already yours. Think of a dream you once had, something you longed for that eventually became a reality. At some point, you either consciously or unconsciously assumed it was possible, even inevitable. You may not have realized it then, but you had aligned yourself with that outcome, and life arranged itself to fulfill it. Now, imagine applying that same principle deliberately. If you want a new reality, you must first construct it in your imagination, not as something distant or unattainable, but as something already present. See yourself as the person you wish to become. Feel the emotions of already having what you seek. Walk in the certainty that it is done, even when physical evidence has not yet appeared. The moment you accept it as truth within, the process of manifestation begins. There is no force outside of you that determines your fate. No external power holds authority over your life. You are the creator, whether you realize it or not. And the world you move through is nothing more than a reflection of your deepest convictions. If you wish to change your reality, change what you assume to be true. Release the need to control the details. Do not concern yourself with how things will unfold. The mechanism of creation is not yours to manage, it is yours to trust. Simply hold firm to the assumption of your desired reality, persist in the feeling of already having it, and allow the unseen forces to work on your behalf. It may seem too simple, but this is the great secret of life. Those who understand it move through the world with ease, knowing that everything they seek is already within them. Those who doubt remain trapped in a cycle of struggle, believing themselves at the mercy of circumstances. Choose then to assume the best. Let your imagination create the reality you truly desire. For what you believe with conviction, what you persist in imagining will harden into fact. It is law, and it cannot fail. Desperation is the great repellent of all that you seek. It signals lack, fear, and disbelief, and in doing so it pushes away the very things you desire. When you chase after something, whether it be love, success, wealth, or recognition, you are unknowingly affirming that you do not have it. Your pursuit is not one of confidence, but of scarcity, and scarcity only breeds more of itself. The more you reach outward, the further your desires seem to move away, like a shadow that lengthens when chased, but disappears when ignored. When you desire something deeply, it is natural to want to take action, to force the result into being. But this is where most falter. They mistake force for power, and effort for creation. The truth is, desperation is an act of disbelief. It is the unspoken statement that what you want is separate from you, that it exists somewhere beyond your reach, and that you must struggle to obtain it. This very mindset ensures that your desire remains just out of grasp, because the external world is only reflecting your internal state. If you believe you are lacking, then lack is what you will continue to experience. Faith, on the other hand, is the great attractor. To trust completely is to know that what you seek is already yours, that it is not something to be gained, but something to be revealed. When you have faith, you no longer feel the need to chase, because you understand that there is nothing to chase. You operate from a place of certainty, and in that certainty, your desire is free to flow toward you effortlessly. Consider the nature of a magnet. It does not run after metal, nor does it plead for it to come near. It simply exists in a state of alignment, and by doing so, it effortlessly draws what belongs to it. You must become the same. When you embody the state of already having, already being, already knowing, all that you desire comes toward you with ease. There is no struggle, no force, only alignment. Those who succeed in life are not the ones who grasp and cling, but the ones who trust. They move with an air of calm assurance, as if they already possess the thing they desire, and in time the world rearranges itself to make that assumption true. They do not check and recheck for signs, nor do they allow doubt to take root. They understand that just as a planted seed does not need to be dug up daily to see if it is growing, their desire does not need constant worry to manifest. Imagine for a moment that what you want most is already done. How would you feel? How would you move through life? Would you be anxious, or would you be at peace? Would you seek reassurance, or would you rest in the knowing? The answer is clear. When you believe something is truly yours, you do not stress over it. You do not question when it will arrive or how it will come. You simply expect it. And in that expectation, it must appear. This is the difference between those who struggle and those who receive effortlessly. It is not luck, nor is it external privilege. It is a state of mind. The ones who trust are the ones who receive, for their trust signals to the universe that they are already in possession of their desire. The ones who doubt and chase push their desire away, affirming with every moment of worry that it is still absent. To shift from desperation to faith is to shift from struggle to ease, from delay to fulfillment. The moment you let go of the need to control, the moment you surrender the worry and trust completely, everything you desire begins to move toward you. It has no choice. The law is certain and it does not fail. So release the chase. Let go of the grasping. Move as if it is already done and watch as life bends to meet your assumption. For faith is the key that unlocks all doors, while desperation only keeps them closed. To live in the end is to assume without doubt that what you desire is already yours. It is to move through life with the inner knowing that what you have imagined has already been accomplished, even before any external evidence appears. This is the great secret to creation. The realization that reality is not shaped by circumstances, but by your assumptions about them. When you embody the state of already having, the world has no choice but to reflect that reality back to you. Most people live in a state of waiting. They wait for signs, for proof, for permission from the external world, before they allow themselves to believe. They tell themselves, when I have the money, then I will feel abundant. When I find love, then I will feel complete. When I succeed, then I will feel confident. But they have it backward. The outer world is only a mirror reflecting the inner state. If you wait for external proof before changing within, you will wait forever. Instead, you must first be what you wish to see, and only then will reality conform. Imagine an actor preparing for a role. He does not wait until he is on stage to embody the character. He becomes the character long before the audience sees him. He walks, speaks, and thinks as the character until there is no distinction between the two. You must do the same. Assume the state of already being the person you wish to become. If wealth is what you seek, embody the feeling of wealth now, even if your bank account says otherwise. If love is your desire, assume the feeling of already being loved without waiting for another person to provide it. The feeling itself is the secret, the cause of all external changes. Living in the end does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing not to be bound by it. The world you see today is simply a reflection of your past assumptions, but it has no power over what comes next. If you continue to react to what already exists, you only perpetuate it. But if you shift your inner state, if you assume and persist in the feeling of already having, you set a new cause in motion, and in time the effect must follow. Doubt is the greatest enemy of this process. The mind wants to analyze, to question, to search for evidence. But faith does not require proof. It creates proof. The moment you say, I will believe it when I see it, you have already defeated yourself. Instead, say, I believe it now, and I will see it because of that belief. Hold firm to the assumption even when nothing seems to change. Reality takes time to rearrange itself. Just as a planted seed takes time to sprout. You do not dig up a seed daily to check if it is growing. You trust that it will. The same is true for your desires. The world has no power over you unless you give it power. If you look to external circumstances for validation, you surrender your ability to create. But when you choose to live in the end, to fully embody the feeling of already having, your world must shift to align with that state. You are not a victim of life, you are its architect. And the blueprint is written in the assumptions you hold. It is not a matter of if your desire will manifest. It is a matter of whether you will persist in the feeling of already having it. The only thing that can delay it is your own doubt, your own decision to believe in what is rather than what can be. But if you persist, if you refuse to waver, if you walk each day as if your wish were already fulfilled, then fulfillment is inevitable. Choose now to step into the reality you desire. Assume it, feel it, live in it. Do not wait for the world to confirm it. You must confirm it within yourself first. And when you do, the world will follow, for it has no choice but to reflect what you've already accepted as true. Time is nothing more than a construct of the mind. It appears to move forward in a linear fashion, but in truth, all possibilities already exist. What you desire is not something you must earn, chase, or wait for. It is already yours. The only thing that separates you from it is your assumption that it lies somewhere in the future, rather than in your present reality. The moment you accept it as done, time bends to bring it into your experience. Most people believe that manifestation takes time, that there is a long road between wanting something and receiving it. But this belief itself is the barrier. When you assume that your desire is distant, you unknowingly place it out of reach. You reinforce the illusion of separation, and so the world continues to reflect that gap. You must understand that the delay is not real. It is a result of your own assumption. The moment you shift your perception, the timeline collapses, and what you seek moves toward you. Think of a radio. The frequencies of all stations exist simultaneously, but you can only experience the one to which you are tuned. If you want to hear a different station, you do not need to create it. It already exists. You simply shift the dial. The same is true for your desires. You do not need to force them into being. They already exist in the infinite possibilities of creation. The only thing required is for you to align with the frequency of already having them. This alignment is not an act of effort. It is an act of knowing. You must train yourself to feel, think, and act as if your desire has already materialized. The world will resist at first, appearing unchanged, but this is only an echo of past assumptions. Do not let it deceive you. Hold to your new reality, and in time, the external world will conform. Many people give up because they expect instant gratification. They look for immediate proof, and when they do not see it, they revert to doubt. But this is like planting a seed and digging it up each day to check if it is growing. The process is invisible at first, but that does not mean it is not happening. The moment you accept something is done, it is done. Time simply rearranges itself to make it visible. Consider those moments in life when things seem to happen instantly. Perhaps you thought of a person and they called you within minutes. Perhaps you desperately searched for a solution to a problem, only to find that the answer appeared effortlessly when you stopped worrying. These moments are not coincidences. They are glimpses of the truth. Time does not dictate when things happen. Your assumption does. If you believe that you must wait years for success, then years will pass before it arrives. If you believe that love takes time to find, then time will stretch out before you. But if you accept in this very moment that what you seek is already yours, then time has no choice but to adjust. It will move in the most direct way possible to reflect your new assumption. So let go of waiting. Stop imagining your desire as something that will happen someday. Live in the awareness that it has already happened. If you had your desire right now, how would you feel? How would you carry yourself? What thoughts would fill your mind? Embody that state completely, and reality will have no choice but to make it visible. The truth is simple. Time is an illusion. It is not something you must fight against. It is something that bends to your assumption. The moment you claim your desire as already fulfilled, you step out of the illusion of waiting and into the reality of having. And once you do that, the world must follow. Silence holds a power that few understand. In a world filled with noise, opinions, and constant external validation, silence is a rare and often overlooked force. Yet it is within silence that true creation happens. The unseen forces of the universe do not announce their movements, nor do they seek approval. They work quietly, reshaping reality in response to your inner state. When you learn to detach from external noise, when you stop seeking validation, and when you dwell in the stillness of knowing, you tap into an immeasurable power, the power to shape your world from within. Most people are consumed by the need to speak, explain, and prove themselves to others. They believe that their desires must be justified, that their dreams must be shared, and that their progress must be seen. But this endless engagement with the external world drains energy and weakens their creative ability. When you constantly talk about what you want, when you look to others for approval, you are giving away your power. You are placing your creation in the hands of the outside world, instead of keeping it protected in the sacred space of your mind. True power is silent. It does not need to be announced. It simply is. The most profound transformations happen in silence. Consider a seed buried in the soil. It does not make a sound as it breaks open and begins to grow. The roots extend, the stem pushes upward, and eventually it emerges into the light, all without noise. The same is true of your manifestations. The moment you plant the seed of a desire in your imagination, the universe begins working. But if you keep digging it up, if you keep exposing it to outside voices and doubt, you interfere with the process. Teaching from external noise does not mean isolation. It means discernment. It means understanding that the opinions of others hold no power over you unless you allow them to. It means recognizing that your reality is not shaped by what the world says, but by what you accept as true within yourself. There is a reason why the most powerful figures in history often moved in silence. They did not waste energy explaining themselves or seeking permission. They knew that real change happens within first, and only afterward does the world reflect it. Many people struggle with silence because they fear it. They believe that if they are not constantly doing something, talking about their goals, or seeking confirmation, nothing is happening. But this is an illusion. Silence is not inactivity, it is alignment. When you detach from external noise, you give space for the unseen forces to work. You allow things to unfold without resistance. You let the energy of your desire take form without interruption. The key to mastering silence is trust. You must trust that once you have imagined your desire as real, the process has already begun. There is no need to talk about it. There is no need to convince others. There is only the need to know, and knowing requires no words. It requires no validation. It is simply a quiet, unshakable certainty that what you have assumed will become visible in due time. Stillness is the space where creation happens. It is the moment before dawn when the world is quietest. It is the deep ocean beneath the waves, unaffected by the storms above. It is the space between thoughts where inspiration arises. When you dwell in stillness, you become a conduit for divine intelligence, a vessel through which the universe manifests its will. So step away from the noise. Stop explaining. Stop announcing your every move. Stop looking for validation in the external world. Instead, retreat into the silence of your knowing. Let your actions, your energy, and your unwavering belief do the speaking for you. In time, the world will take notice, not because you sought its attention, but because your inner power became undeniable. And when that happens, it will not be because you shouted your dreams into existence. It will be because you cultivated them in silence. There is a natural order to all things, a rhythm that governs the unfolding of life. The same intelligence that causes the sun to rise, the tides to move, and the seasons to change is at work in your life, orchestrating events with perfect precision. Your desires, once imagined and felt as real, are like seeds planted in fertile soil. They do not need your constant interference to grow. They do not need to be pushed, forced, or doubted into existence. Instead, they require trust, patience, and most importantly, the ability to let go and allow them to manifest in their own perfect time. Many struggle with this simple truth. They believe that the more effort they exert, the faster their desires will materialize. They watch anxiously for signs, constantly question the process, and attempt to control every detail of how things unfold. But just as a seed does not need to be dug up each day to check its progress, your manifestations do not need constant monitoring. In fact, the more you try to control the outcome, the more resistance you create. The energy of doubt, impatience, and desperation only serves to block what is already set in motion. Letting go does not mean giving up. It does not mean abandoning your desire or ceasing to care about it. Rather, it means releasing attachment to the how and when of its manifestation. It means trusting that once the intention is set, the unseen forces of the universe begin arranging all necessary conditions for its fulfillment. Your only role is to remain in a state of quiet confidence, knowing that what you have asked for is on its way. Consider the way nature operates. A tree does not struggle to grow, it simply expands effortlessly toward the light. The rivers do not force their flow, they move naturally, carving their path in perfect harmony with the land. The flowers do not demand to bloom, they open when the conditions are right. In the same way, your desires will manifest effortlessly when you surrender to the natural order of things, when you release them into the hands of the intelligence that governs all. The mind resists this truth. It wants control. It wants to micromanage every step, fearing that if it does not take charge, nothing will happen. But this fear is an illusion. Your conscious mind does not need to dictate every detail. Your higher awareness, the unseen creative force within you, knows exactly how to bring about the perfect outcome. When you let go, you make space for miracles. You allow the unseen to work in ways that you could never orchestrate on your own. Think of moments in your life when things seem to fall into place effortlessly. Perhaps an opportunity arrived at just the right time. Perhaps a long-lost friend appeared when you needed them most. Perhaps a solution to a problem presented itself the moment you stopped obsessing over it. These are glimpses of the power of surrender, proof that when you remove resistance, life moves in your favor. Letting go is an act of faith. It requires you to step back and allow the process to unfold without interference. It is the art of knowing that your desire is already yours, even if you cannot yet see it. It is the ability to move forward with ease, unshaken by appearances, because you trust the unseen forces at work. When you truly release your desire into the hands of the infinite intelligence, you no longer feel the need to question, worry, or force outcome. You simply rest in the assurance that all is working out as it should. So let go, let it be. Release the need to control and watch as life moves effortlessly in your favor. Just as the seed grows without your interference, so too will your desires manifest when you allow them the space to bloom. Trust in the unseen, surrender to the process, and you will come to see that what is meant for you can never be withheld. When you relax, trust, and allow the universe to work for you, you align yourself with the effortless flow of creation. Your imagination shapes reality, faith attracts what you seek, and living in the end allows your desires to materialize. Time is merely a tool that rearranges itself to bring you what is already yours. Silence holds immense power, guiding unseen forces to work in your favor, and above all, letting go is the final step, the surrender that allows your desires to manifest without resistance. The universe operates with precision, responding to the assumptions and beliefs you hold within. There is no need to force, beg, or struggle. Your only task is to trust, embody the feeling of already having, and let life unfold as it should. When you truly understand this, you step into a reality where miracles are natural, where desires manifest with ease, and where you no longer chase because you know it is already done. Thank you for allowing these words to remind you of your power. Trust the process, remain still in your knowing, and watch as the universe delivers all that is meant for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that prizes reason, logic, and external evidence. It tells us, only believe what you can see and prove, but I am here to tell you today that if you live only by reason, you will remain bound to the current limitations of your life. There is a greater power, one far more subtle, yet infinitely more potent, that resides within each of us, the power to believe in the unseen, to hold fast to a vision that reason denies. The concept that imagination is the gateway to reality challenges the conventional wisdom that we must rely solely on the tangible, the measurable, and the rational. For many, the idea of imagination may seem whimsical or even irrelevant when it comes to creating real change in life. Yet history and experience have shown time and again that every great achievement, every breakthrough, and every remarkable transformation began as a thought in the mind of someone who dared to imagine beyond their present circumstances. Imagination is far more than mere daydreaming or idle fantasy. It is the creative faculty that shapes our perception of the world and ultimately the world itself. When you allow your imagination to envision something greater, something different from what you currently see, you begin to plant the seeds of transformation. The external world is, in many ways, a reflection of the inner world, and what we continually think about, focus on, and give emotional energy to begins to take shape in our experience. This is why it's essential to understand that imagination is not just a passive tool, it is an active force that can bring about real change. Consider for a moment the lives of individuals who have changed the course of history: visionaries, inventors, artists, and pioneers. Before their innovations or creations came into existence, these individuals first saw them in the theater of their mind. Whether it was Thomas Edison imagining the light bulb, the Wright brothers envisioning flight, or Martin Luther King Jr. dreaming of a world of racial equality, these great achievements did not originate from the realm of reason or logic. In fact, many of them went against the prevailing wisdom of their time. But through the power of imagination, they were able to bring forth what reason alone could not justify. To imagine is to allow yourself to see beyond the present limitations of your life and the world around you. It's to create a vision of something that does not yet exist in physical form, but is very real in your mind. This is where the gateway to reality begins. Our current circumstances are often a result of the thoughts and beliefs we have entertained over time. What we consistently imagine, we begin to feel, and what we feel, we start to act upon. It is these actions, driven by the emotional power of imagination, that eventually bring our visions into physical form. Now, why is it that so many people fail to utilize the power of imagination? Often it is because they are imprisoned by what they perceive to be realistic thinking. They look around at their current situation and feel that it is all there is. Logic tells them that if they want to improve their lives, they must work within the framework of what is possible, reasonable, or practical. Yet, this kind of thinking severely limits one's potential. When you focus only on what is, you are not leaving room for what could be. Imagination requires a willingness to suspend disbelief, to move beyond the confines of reason, and to allow yourself to dream without restriction. This is not to say that reason and logic are not valuable. They certainly have their place in helping us navigate the practical aspects of life. However, they are tools for shaping and managing the world once a vision has been set in motion. Imagination, on the other hand, is the tool that creates the vision in the first place. Without it, you remain stuck within the boundaries of your current circumstances. To truly tap into the power of imagination, you must go beyond simply thinking about what you want. You must feel it as though it is already yours. This is where the real magic happens. When you engage your emotions, when you allow yourself to feel the joy, the satisfaction, and the fulfillment of having what you desire, your subconscious mind begins to align with that vision. It doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. It only knows the feeling. And as you persist in imagining and feeling your desired outcome, the subconscious mind begins to work behind the scenes to make that vision a reality. This is why so many successful people speak of the importance of visualization, of seeing and feeling their desired outcomes long before they happen. They understand that the mind is the master architect, and what is first built in the mind will eventually be built in the world. The only thing stopping us from living the life we imagine is our unwillingness to believe in the power of that imagination. When you dare to imagine a reality greater than the one you currently see, you are opening the door to infinite possibilities. You are stepping into a realm where reason has no place, where the laws of time and space bend to the creative power of thought. And it is in this space that dreams are made real, one thought at a time. In the unseen is a profound and transformative principle that challenges our usual reliance on the tangible and the visible. In a world that often demands evidence before belief, the idea of having faith in what cannot be immediately perceived or proven seems almost radical. Yet faith in the unseen has been at the core of countless personal triumphs, spiritual breakthroughs, and even scientific advancements. It is the engine that drives individuals to pursue goals, dreams, and realities that reason alone cannot support. At its core, faith is the ability to trust in an outcome, a possibility, or a vision that has not yet materialized in the physical world. It is a deep-seated belief that what you desire or what you envision is already on its way to becoming real, even when no external signs point to it. This kind of faith is not blind optimism, rather it is an inner conviction that transcends doubt and uncertainty. It is the quiet confidence that whispers it is done even when every outward circumstance screams it is impossible. To have faith in the unseen requires a shift in perspective. Most of us are conditioned to believe in what we can see, touch, or measure. We've been taught to trust only in what is already here. However, the unseen world, thoughts, ideas, emotions, intentions, is just as real and powerful as the physical world. In fact, everything that exists in our material reality first existed in the realm of the unseen. Every invention, every building, every piece of art, and every achievement was once an invisible idea in someone's mind before it became manifest. One of the key elements of faith in the unseen is the ability to let go of the need for immediate evidence or validation. This is often where people struggle. We live in a society that places immense value on proof, on results that can be measured and quantified. But faith asks us to trust before we see results. It asks us to believe in the existence of something before it has physically appeared in our lives. This is not always easy, especially when faced with circumstances that contradict what we are hoping for. Yet it is precisely in these moments that faith becomes most powerful. Consider the process of planting a seed. When a gardener plants a seed, they do not expect to see a fully grown plant the next day. They understand that the seed must go through an unseen process beneath the soil before it sprouts. The gardener waters the seed, nurtures it, and trusts that in time the plant will grow. There is no doubt, no second guessing, no digging up the seed to see if it's working. The gardener knows that the seed will eventually break through the surface, even though for a time everything happens out of sight. This is a perfect metaphor for faith in the unseen. Faith requires patience, and more than that, it requires persistence. You must continue to believe in your vision, even when nothing in your current reality reflects that belief. This persistence of faith is what moves mountains and creates breakthroughs. It allows you to keep moving forward, to take action, and to stay committed even when external circumstances suggest otherwise. The unseen world is not bound by time or logic in the same way the physical world is, and sometimes the greatest miracles are in progress just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Another critical aspect of faith in the unseen is understanding the role of the subconscious mind. The subconscious operates primarily on feelings and beliefs, not on rational thought. When you hold faith in the unseen, you are essentially programming your subconscious to accept your desired outcome as a fact. Once the subconscious mind believes something to be true, it begins to influence your actions, your decisions, and even the opportunities that come into your life. This is how faith can bring the unseen into the seen. By aligning your inner state with your desired reality, you draw that reality toward you. One of the challenges people face is that they tend to base their faith on what they see around them. If things are going well, they feel hopeful and optimistic. But if they encounter obstacles, they quickly lose faith and start to doubt whether their dreams or desires are possible. True faith, however, is not dependent on external circumstances. It stands firm regardless of what is happening in the physical world. This is why faith in the unseen is so powerful. It allows you to stay anchored to your vision, even when the storms of life seem to blow you off course. Faith is often tested, but it is through these tests that it becomes stronger. Every obstacle is an opportunity to deepen your trust in the unseen. When you continue to believe in your desired outcome, despite the evidence to the contrary, you demonstrate a level of inner conviction that has the power to shape reality. This is the essence of faith, the ability to see with the inner eye, to trust the process, and to know that what is unseen today will become seen tomorrow. Faith in the unseen is not about ignoring reality or pretending that challenges don't exist. It's about recognizing that there is a reality beyond what is immediately visible, a reality that you can access through belief, persistence, and trust. When you cultivate faith in the unseen, you unlock the ability to create a life that transcends the limits of reason, allowing you to manifest dreams and possibilities that once seemed impossible. Inner conviction over external evidence is a principle that speaks to the power of our internal beliefs and their ability to shape our reality, regardless of the circumstances we currently face. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with external information, news, opinions, statistics, and events, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that what we see outside of us is the ultimate truth. Yet, this principle challenges us to consider a different reality, that what we hold true within ourselves, our inner convictions, can override and transform the external evidence of our lives. To live by inner conviction means to cultivate a belief that is not dependent on what the world shows us. It means to trust in the unseen, to maintain a vision for what we desire, even when everything around us appears to contradict that vision. This is not an act of denial or delusion, but rather a deep and profound act of faith in our own power to create and influence our circumstances. While external evidence may show us lack, failure, or limitation, our inner conviction, when strong enough, can shape the future in ways that defy logic and current reality. The first step in understanding the power of inner conviction is recognizing that the external world is not fixed. While it may seem solid and unchangeable, it is actually in a constant state of flux. Our circumstances, relationships, and opportunities are all shaped by the beliefs and feelings we hold within. The world is a reflection of our inner state, and when we change what we believe to be true within ourselves, the external world must eventually align with that belief. This is why it's so important to maintain inner conviction, even when the evidence around us suggests otherwise. For example, consider someone pursuing a dream or goal that seems impossible based on their current situation. Perhaps they want to start a business, achieve a high level of success, or transform their personal life. The external evidence may not be encouraging. They may not have the resources, connections, or experience that would make their goal seem feasible. However, if that person holds a deep inner conviction, if they truly believe that their dream is possible, and act in alignment with that belief, they can begin to attract the opportunities, people, and circumstances that will make their vision a reality. This process may take time, but inner conviction has the power to shift the course of events. One of the greatest obstacles to living by inner conviction is the temptation to rely on external validation. We often look for signs or proof that what we want is on its way before we fully commit to believing in it. But waiting for external evidence to support our dreams is a backward approach. The external world follows the internal world, not the other way around. If you allow your inner conviction to be shaken by the lack of external proof, you lose the creative power that comes from belief. The most successful and fulfilled people are those who maintain their conviction, even when there is no logical reason to believe that things will work out. This is where the strength of character comes in. It takes courage to believe in something that no one else can see. It takes determination to continue pursuing the vision when the circumstances seem unfavorable. But those who master the art of inner conviction know that the external world is malleable. They understand that circumstances will bend to match their beliefs, not immediately perhaps, but inevitably. The key is to persist in your belief long enough for the external evidence to catch up. Inner conviction also requires a certain level of self-awareness. You must be clear about what you truly believe, not just on the surface, but deep within your subconscious. Often we think we believe in something, but our actions and emotions tell a different story. If you find yourself constantly doubting or feeling anxious about whether your goals will come to pass, it may be a sign that your inner conviction needs strengthening. This is where practices like visualization, affirmation, and meditation can be powerful tools. By regularly reinforcing your belief in your desired outcome, you begin to shift your subconscious mind to align with that belief. Another crucial aspect of inner conviction is its ability to guide action. When you are deeply convinced of something, you naturally take actions that align with that belief. These actions, even if small, accumulate over time and begin to create momentum. For instance, someone who is convinced that they will achieve success in their career will act with confidence, seek out opportunities, and persist in the face of setbacks. Their inner conviction gives them the resilience to keep going, even when external evidence might suggest that they should give up. Over time, this persistence pays off, and the external evidence begins to reflect their inner belief. Inner conviction over external evidence is not about ignoring reality, it's about creating a new reality through the power of belief. The external world is constantly changing, and we have the ability to influence that change through our internal state. When we cultivate a deep, unwavering belief in our goals and desires, we set the stage for transformation. Even in the face of opposing evidence, inner conviction has the power to bend circumstances in our favor. It may not happen overnight, but with persistence, faith, and action, our inner beliefs will eventually shape the world around us. But persistence in the assumption is a principle rooted in the idea that holding a consistent belief or assumption about a desired outcome can ultimately bring that outcome into reality. It suggests that what we assume to be true, if held long enough and with enough conviction, will materialize in our external world. This concept requires a deep understanding of the mind's power to create, shape, and influence the physical reality through sustained focus and belief, even when circumstances and evidence seem to point in the opposite direction. At the core of this idea is the notion that our assumptions shape our experiences. What we persistently assume, whether about ourselves, others, or the world, acts as a filter through which we interpret and respond to life. If we assume success, we begin to think, feel, and act in ways that align with that assumption, setting the stage for success to eventually manifest. On the other hand, if we assume failure or limitation, we create a reality that mirrors those negative beliefs. The key, therefore, is to persist in the assumption that aligns with our desires, even when external circumstances suggest otherwise. This principle is not about wishful thinking or blind optimism. It's about consciously choosing to hold a particular assumption and refusing to waver, no matter what. In life, we are constantly bombarded by external stimuli, challenges, setbacks, and obstacles that can cause us to doubt our goals. But persistence in the assumption requires that we remain steadfast, continuing to believe in the desired outcome, even when faced with evidence to the contrary. It demands that we cultivate unwavering faith in the power of our assumption to create the reality we seek. One of the reasons persistence in the assumption is so powerful is that the mind, when focused, has the ability to influence not only our thoughts and emotions, but also our actions and decisions. When we persist in assuming the fulfillment of a goal, we naturally begin to align our behaviors with that assumption. For example, if someone persists in assuming they will achieve financial success, they are more likely to seek out opportunities, take calculated risks, and maintain the confidence needed to navigate the ups and downs of the financial world. Their assumption creates a mental framework that guides their actions, even when setbacks occur. Over time, this consistency of thought and action leads to the very success they assume. Another key aspect of persistence in the assumption is its relationship to the subconscious mind. The subconscious is highly impressionable and operates largely on the beliefs and assumptions we feed it. By persistently assuming something to be true, we impress that assumption onto the subconscious, which then begins to work behind the scenes to bring the assumption to fruition. The subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It simply responds to the feelings and beliefs we hold consistently. Therefore, when we persist in assuming the fulfillment of our desires, we activate the creative power of the subconscious to manifest those desires in our lives. This persistence often requires patience and resilience. It's easy to hold an assumption when everything is going smoothly, but the real test comes when we encounter challenges. Life will often present situations that seem to contradict our desired outcome. For instance, someone trying to assume health in the face of illness may experience setbacks that shake their faith. However, persistence in the assumption demands that they continue to hold the vision of perfect health, even when their current reality reflects otherwise. This is not denial. It is an act of faith in the creative power of their assumption to ultimately override temporary conditions. The concept of persistence in the assumption also highlights the importance of emotional alignment. It's not enough to merely think about what we want. We must also feel it. Our emotions act as fuel for our assumptions, giving them the energy needed to manifest. When we persist in assuming that we already have what we desire, we must also cultivate the feelings associated with that fulfillment, whether it's joy, gratitude, or relief. This emotional alignment strengthens the assumption and deepens its impact on both our conscious and subconscious mind. Persistence in the assumption builds resilience against doubt. Doubt is the enemy of belief, and it often arises when external circumstances don't seem to align with our desires. When we encounter failure or obstacles, the natural response is to question whether our assumptions are valid. But those who understand the power of persistence know that doubt is merely a temporary hurdle. By refusing to entertain doubt and continuing to assume the desired outcome, we keep our focus on the end result, allowing it to take root and grow, even in the face of adversity. It's important to recognize that persistence does not imply struggle or force. It is not about fighting against what we don't want, but about calmly and consistently holding on to the assumption of what we do want. The more we persist, the more natural the assumption becomes, until it feels like an inevitable part of our reality. This is when the outer world begins to shift to match the inner conviction we have cultivated over time. Persistence in the assumption is a powerful principle that teaches us the value of unwavering belief in the fulfillment of our desires. By consistently holding on to an assumption, regardless of external evidence or temporary setbacks, we engage the creative power of the mind and subconscious to bring that assumption into physical reality. It requires patience, emotional alignment, and resilience. But with persistence, we can shape our experiences and manifest the life we envision. The law of consciousness is a principle that asserts that our state of consciousness, our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, directly shapes the reality we experience. It is based on the understanding that consciousness is the fundamental cause of all that happens in our lives. What we consistently hold in our minds, whether positive or negative, manifests as the circumstances, events, and conditions in our external world. This law suggests that we are not passive observers of life, but active creators, shaping our experiences through the power of our own awareness. At the heart of the law of consciousness is the idea that we are always creating, whether consciously or unconsciously. Every thought we think, every belief we hold, and every emotion we feel is an act of creation. These mental and emotional states serve as the blueprint for the experiences we attract. When we dwell on thoughts of abundance, love, and health, we begin to align with those states, drawing them into our lives. Conversely, when we focus on lack, fear, or negativity, we create circumstances that reflect those lower states of consciousness. In essence, life mirrors back to us what we hold in our consciousness. This principle can be seen in everyday life. For example, when someone holds a firm belief in their ability to succeed, they often experience opportunities and outcomes that support that belief. Their confident mindset leads them to take actions that are in alignment with success, and as a result, they achieve their goals. On the other hand, a person who harbors a deep belief in failure or unworthiness tends to encounter obstacles and setbacks that confirm their negative expectations. The law of consciousness operates without judgment. It simply reflects the dominant thoughts and feelings we hold, whether we are aware of them or not. One of the most empowering aspects of the law of consciousness is that it places the responsibility for our experiences squarely in our own hands. We are not at the mercy of external circumstances, luck, or fate. Instead, we have the power to change our reality by shifting our consciousness, by becoming aware of the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that dominate our minds. We can consciously choose to focus on those that align with the outcomes we desire. This shift in consciousness brings about a corresponding change in our external reality as the outer world begins to reflect the new inner state. However, mastering the law of consciousness requires more than just positive thinking. It involves a deep understanding of how our subconscious mind operates. The subconscious mind is the storehouse of our deeply held beliefs and assumptions, many of which were formed during childhood and continue to influence us today. While we may consciously desire success, health, or happiness, if our subconscious mind is filled with limiting beliefs about our worthiness or ability, we will struggle to manifest those desires. This is why it is so important to address and reprogram the subconscious mind to align with our conscious desires. Reprogramming the subconscious mind requires persistence and practice. Techniques such as visualization, affirmation, and meditation can help to impress new beliefs upon the subconscious. By consistently focusing on the feelings and images associated with our desired outcomes, we begin to shift the deep-seated beliefs that shape our reality. Over time, these new beliefs become ingrained in the subconscious, and our external circumstances begin to change in response. Another critical component of the law of consciousness is the role of emotions. Emotions are the fuel that powers our thoughts and beliefs, giving them the energy needed to manifest in our physical reality. It's not enough to simply think about what we want. We must feel it as though it is already ours. When we cultivate the emotions of joy, gratitude, and fulfillment associated with our desires, we accelerate the manifestation process. This emotional alignment brings our consciousness into harmony with the reality we wish to create. The law of consciousness also highlights the importance of focus. What we focus on expands, and where we direct our attention, our energy flows. If we constantly focus on problems, challenges, or the things we do not want, we will inadvertently create more of those experiences. Conversely, when we focus on solutions, opportunities, and the things we do want, we invite those experiences into our lives. This is why it's crucial to guard our minds and be mindful of where we place our attention. By directing our focus toward the outcomes we desire, we shape our consciousness in a way that attracts those outcomes. It's also important to recognize that the law of consciousness operates on a deep, often invisible level. Just as seeds planted in the soil take time to grow and bear fruit, the changes in our consciousness may not yield immediate results in the external world. There is often a gestation period between the time we shift our consciousness and the time we see physical evidence of that shift. This is why patience and persistence are essential when working with the law of consciousness. We must trust that the changes we are making within ourselves will eventually manifest in our lives. The law of consciousness is a powerful principle that teaches us that we are the creators of our own reality. Our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and focus shape the world we experience. By consciously choosing to cultivate a state of consciousness that aligns with our desires, we can transform our external circumstances and live the life we truly want. This process requires awareness, emotional alignment, and persistence, but with consistent practice, the law of consciousness can bring profound changes to our lives. We are not bound by our current reality. We have the power to create new realities through the power of our own consciousness. Feel it real is a powerful principle based on the understanding that our emotions and feelings, play a vital role in shaping the reality we experience. It emphasizes the importance of embodying the emotions associated with our desires as if they were already fulfilled. By doing so, we align ourselves energetically with the reality we wish to create, allowing us to manifest our desires more quickly and effectively. This concept goes beyond mere positive thinking or visualization. It involves deeply engaging with the feelings and emotions tied to the outcome we want to experience, making it feel real in our minds and hearts long before it becomes visible in the physical world. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me invite you to pause and reflect for a moment. I want you to consider the deepest longing in your heart, the dream you hold so dear, the life you imagine but may feel is out of reach. Today, I'm here to tell you that the key to unlocking that life lies in a simple yet profound truth: act as if you already have what you want. Your imagination is far more powerful than you may realize. It is the birthplace of every great achievement, every profound change, and every extraordinary life. What you experience in the world is a reflection of the images, feelings, and beliefs you hold within. The creative power of imagination allows you to mold and shape the fabric of reality itself, but many overlook its true potential, dismissing it as fantasy or idle daydreaming. Yet, the imagination is not something passive, it is an active, living force within each of us. When you deliberately harness this power, you can create the life you desire. Everything in this world, from the smallest invention to the grandest accomplishments, was first imagined before it became real. The chair you're sitting in, the phone you hold in your hand, the cities you walk through, all of it began as a seed in someone's mind. That is the power of imagination in action. In action. Now, when we talk about acting as if you already have what you want, we are invoking this creative force in a profound way. Imagination is not about escaping reality, it is about creating reality. When you close your eyes and vividly imagine your desired future, you are not just visualizing, you are aligning yourself with that future. You are bringing the unseen into the seen. When you feel the emotions associated with that future, the joy, the gratitude, the excitement, you are sending out a signal to the universe, calling that reality into existence. Think of it this way: your mind cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. If you can convince your mind that you already possess your desire, your body and circumstances will begin to reflect that truth. This is not about pretending or living in delusion, it's about awakening to the realization that you are the creator of your world. By seeing yourself in possession of your desire, and by acting as if that desire is already fulfilled, you stimulate the same creative process that has shaped everything in your life up to this point. You might ask, how does this work? The answer lies in the fact that everything is connected. Your thoughts are not isolated from the world around you. They carry energy, and that energy affects the events, people, and opportunities that come into your life. However, many people allow their imagination to be driven by fear, you begin to vibrate at the frequency of that vision. They imagine worst-case circumstances that align with your inner state, and as a result, this is why it is essential to be mindful of what you imagine. For whatever you dwell upon within will manifest your imagination to create a mental picture of success, abundance, and fulfillment. You engage the creative process in your favor. You bring into focus the life you truly desire. Acting as if you have already attained your desires is one of the most powerful ways to harness this force. It bridges the gap between imagination and reality. When you live as though your dreams are already realized, your imagination works tirelessly to turn those dreams into a tangible, physical experience. You begin to think, speak, and behave as the person who already has everything they seek. In doing so, you attract the resources, relationships, and opportunities that will make that vision a reality. Remember, the creative power of your imagination is infinite. The only limits are the ones you impose upon it. When you allow yourself to imagine freely and fully, without restriction, you open the door to endless possibilities. You become the author of your own story, and the world becomes the canvas upon which your imagination paints its masterpiece. A shift in consciousness is one of the most profound transformations a person can undergo. It is not merely a change in thought or attitude, it is a complete realignment of how you perceive yourself, your life, and the world around you. When you shift your consciousness, you move beyond old, limiting beliefs and step into a new level of awareness, one that opens the door to endless possibilities. This shift is essential when you begin to act as if you already have what you desire, as it bridges the gap between wanting and having, between longing and fulfillment. At its core, this change in perspective is about recognizing the power within you to create your reality. Before the shift, is a realization that your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are not passive that something is in the world, rather, that you are not in active forces, or that your desires are always out of reach. Before this shift occurs, however, many people feel as though they are at the mercy of external circumstances, waiting for something to change out there. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, feel happy or you tune into the feeling of already possessing your desires. But when you shift your consciousness, you understand you embody the mindset of someone who has already achieved their goals, and as a result, your thoughts, what you believe to be and emotions start to will eventually manifest in your external reality. One of the most significant aspects of this shift is the release of doubt and fear. Doubt and fear are the primary forces that keep us stuck in old patterns of thinking and behavior. They are rooted in the belief that our desires are unattainable, or that we are somehow unworthy of achieving them. But when you shift your consciousness, you realize that these limiting beliefs are illusions, self-imposed barriers that prevent you from stepping into your full potential. You no longer ask, "Can I have this?" or "Am I worthy?" Instead, you begin to see your desires as already state of consciousness, already part of your confidence, faith, and inner knowing. This shift is liberating. You are no longer trying to force things to happen through sheer will or effort. Instead, you flow with the natural unfolding of your desires, trusting that what you seek is seeking you. You feel the joy, gratitude, and fulfillment of already having what you want, which raises your vibration and aligns you with the experiences, people, and opportunities that resonate with that frequency. Another key aspect of this shift is that it transforms how you view challenges. In a lower state of consciousness, obstacles seem overwhelming, and setbacks can feel like proof that your desires are out of reach. But when you shift your consciousness, you begin to see challenges as opportunities for growth, learning, and refinement. Instead of resisting them, you welcome them as part of the journey toward your desired outcome. This shift in perspective empowers you to remain focused and aligned with your vision, even when things don't go exactly as planned. A shift in consciousness is about moving from a state of separation and limitation into one of unity and possibility. You no longer see yourself as separate from your desires, waiting for some external event to bring them to you. Instead, you recognize that your desires are already within you, waiting to be expressed in the physical world. This inner shift is the foundation of true manifestation. When you live from this expanded state of awareness, your desires flow to you naturally and effortlessly, because you have become the person who is ready to receive them. Emotional alignment is a powerful principle when it comes to manifesting your desires. It is the process of bringing your emotional state into harmony with the reality you wish to create. In simple terms, it means feeling the emotions you would experience if you already had what you desire. Instead of waiting for external circumstances to trigger feelings of happiness, fulfillment, or joy, emotional alignment asks you to generate those feelings now, aligning your inner world with the outcome you seek. This practice is one of the most effective ways to accelerate the manifestation of your desires, as your emotions serve as a magnetic force attracting what you focus on. At its core, emotional alignment is about understanding that your emotions are not just reactions to your environment, they are creative forces that shape your experience. When you feel joy, gratitude, or love, you are vibrating at a frequency that naturally attracts more of those experiences into your life. Conversely, when you dwell in feelings of lack, frustration, or fear, you attract more situations that reflect those emotions. Thus, aligning your emotions with your desires is key to bringing them into reality. Many people live in a state of emotional contradiction when it comes to their desires. They want more abundance but feel anxious about money. They crave love but feel lonely or unworthy. They desire success but fear failure. This emotional dissonance creates a gap between where they are and where they want to be. Emotional alignment closes this gap
by encouraging you to feel the emotions of your desired outcome in the present moment, as if you already have it. When you do this, you create an internal environment that matches the external reality you wish to experience, drawing it closer to you. One of the most effective ways to achieve emotional alignment is through visualization. When you vividly imagine yourself living the life you desire, you trigger the same emotional responses you would feel if it were happening in reality. If you want financial abundance, imagine yourself in situations where you feel prosperous and secure. If you desire a loving relationship, envision yourself in that relationship feeling deeply connected, valued, and cherished. By engaging your emotions in this way, you begin to embody the state of already having what you want, which signals to the universe that you are ready to receive it. Another essential aspect of emotional alignment is the practice of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions you can cultivate because it puts you in a state of appreciation for what you have, rather than focusing on what you lack. When you feel grateful for your desires as though they are already fulfilled, you align yourself with the energy of abundance. This emotional state not only raises your vibration but also shifts your focus from scarcity to fulfillment. It reinforces the belief that you are worthy of receiving your desires, helping to dissolve any lingering doubts or fears that may block their manifestation. Emotional alignment also requires a high level of self-awareness. It is important to recognize when your emotions are out of sync with your desires. If you find yourself feeling impatient, frustrated, or doubtful, those emotions are signals that you need to realign. In those moments, take a step back and ask yourself, how would I feel if my desire were already fulfilled? This simple question can help you shift from a negative emotional state to one of faith, joy, and anticipation. It's a way to recalibrate your emotions and bring them back into harmony with your goals. One of the biggest challenges people face with emotional alignment is that they often wait for external conditions to change before they allow themselves to feel good. They believe that they can only feel happiness once they've achieved their goals or acquired the things they want. However, emotional alignment teaches the opposite. You don't wait for your desires to manifest before you feel joy first, and your desires will follow. The outer world is a reflection of your inner state, and when you align your emotions with your vision, the universe responds by bringing your vision to life. Emotional alignment is about becoming a vibrational match to what you want by feeling the emotions of your desired outcome in the present moment. It's a process of shifting your focus away from what's missing and instead cultivating feelings of gratitude, joy, and fulfillment as though your desires are already a reality. By aligning your emotions with your goals, you create the emotional foundation necessary for your desires to manifest effortlessly and naturally into your experience. Faith and belief are the cornerstones of any manifestation process. They are the invisible forces that sustain you when evidence of your desires has yet to materialize in the physical world. Faith is the unwavering trust in the unseen, the ability to know deep within your heart that what you desire is already on its way to you, even when there is no external proof. Belief, on the other hand, is the conviction that you are capable and deserving of what you seek. Together, faith and belief create a powerful synergy that transforms your thoughts, emotions, and actions into tangible results. When you act as if you already have what you want, faith is your guiding force. Without faith, it's easy to give up when things don't seem to be happening as quickly as you'd like. Often people lose sight of their goals when they don't see immediate progress, and this lack of patience can lead them to doubt their ability to manifest what they desire. But faith requires you to trust the process, to believe that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even if you can't yet see the final result. This kind of faith is not based on wishful thinking, it is a deep inner knowing, a sense of certainty that what you've imagined is already yours, and that it will come to pass at the right time. Belief, intertwined with faith, is the foundation upon which you build your desired reality. Belief begins with the understanding that your thoughts and emotions are powerful creative forces. If you believe in your ability to create your life through these internal processes, you will naturally align your actions and behaviors with that belief. When you truly believe that something is possible, you are more likely to take steps toward achieving it, to act in ways that bring you closer to your goals. Belief empowers you to persevere through challenges, to remain resilient in the face of obstacles, and to maintain a clear vision of your desired outcome, no matter how distant it may seem. One of the most important aspects of belief is self-worth. Many people struggle with manifesting their desires because deep down, they don't believe they deserve what they want. This lack of self-belief creates internal resistance that blocks the flow of manifestation. If you believe that you are not worthy of success, love, abundance, or happiness, no matter how much you desire it, you will unconsciously push it away. Therefore, cultivating a strong sense of self-worth is essential. You must believe that you are deserving of all the good things you seek, and that the universe is more than willing to provide them to you. Faith and belief also help you overcome doubt, fear, and uncertainty. Doubt is the enemy of manifestation. It creates an internal conflict between what you desire and what you think is possible, causing you to send mixed signals to the universe. When you doubt, you are essentially telling yourself and the world that you're not sure if what you want can actually happen. This weakens your manifestation efforts because it splits your focus between what you desire and the fear that you won't achieve it. Faith, however, wipes out doubt. It replaces uncertainty with a calm assurance that all is well, that everything is working in your favor. Belief strengthens your resilience. When you believe in your vision, you are not swayed by temporary setbacks or external challenges. You trust in your ability to navigate difficulties and remain focused on your goal. This belief creates a sense of stability and confidence, which in turn attracts the resources, opportunities, and circumstances you need to succeed. Faith and belief are about trusting yourself and the process of life. They require you to let go of the need to control every detail and to surrender to the flow of the universe. When you trust that your desires are already being fulfilled and believe that you are worthy of them, you align with the creative power that brings your dreams into reality. You move from a state of doubt and fear into a state of certainty and confidence, which accelerates the manifestation of your desires and transforms your life. Breaking free of limiting patterns is a transformative process that can radically alter the course of your life. These patterns are deeply ingrained habits of thought and behavior that keep you stuck in a cycle of repetition, preventing you from reaching your full potential. They are the invisible barriers that stand between you and the life you truly desire. Often, these limiting patterns operate beneath the surface of your consciousness, quietly dictating your actions, decisions, and even your beliefs about what is possible for you. However, once you become aware of them, you have the power to change them, and this is where the real transformation begins. Limiting patterns usually originate from past experiences, conditioning, or societal influences. They are formed in response to events where you may have felt inadequate, powerless, or rejected, and they leave behind beliefs that shape how you view yourself and the world. These beliefs manifest as thoughts like, "I'm not good enough, success is hard to achieve," or "I'll never be able to have what I want." These patterns create a mindset of lack, fear, and limitation, which keeps you in a constant state of wanting but not having. They create a gap between where you are and where you want to be, and until they are addressed, they will continue to hinder your growth. The first step in breaking free of these limiting patterns is recognizing them for what they are: old beliefs and behaviors that no longer serve you. You must become aware of the thoughts and feelings that arise when you consider your desires. Do you feel excitement and anticipation, or do you feel doubt, fear, and frustration? These emotional responses are clues that point to the limiting beliefs lurking in the background. Once you identify these beliefs, you can begin the process of replacing them with more empowering ones. To break free of limiting patterns, you must start by reprogramming your mind with new, expansive beliefs that align with your goals. This requires a conscious effort to challenge the old beliefs and replace them with ones that affirm your ability to create the life you desire. For example, if you've always believed that success is hard to achieve, you can begin telling yourself, "Success comes easily to me," or "I am fully capable of achieving all my goals." Repeating these affirmations helps to rewire your brain, replacing the old, limiting thoughts with new, empowering ones. Another critical aspect of breaking free is changing your emotional state. Your emotions are powerful indicators of the beliefs you hold, and they also play a role in creating your reality. When you feel stuck in a limiting pattern, it's often because your emotions are aligned with that old belief system. To shift out of this, you must cultivate emotions that align with your new, expansive beliefs. This means feeling the joy, confidence, and excitement of already having what you want, even before it arrives. By doing this, you create an internal state that is in harmony with your desires, which helps to dissolve the old patterns and bring new opportunities into your life. Taking consistent action is another key to breaking free from limiting patterns. These patterns are not just mental or emotional, they also manifest in your daily habits and choices. If you've been living in a way that reflects your limiting beliefs, such as avoiding risks or not taking action on your goals, you must begin making new choices that reflect your new belief system. This might mean stepping out of your comfort zone, taking bold action toward your dreams, or adopting new habits that support your growth. Every time you take action from a place of empowerment, you weaken the hold of the old patterns and strengthen your new mindset. Breaking free of limiting patterns is about reclaiming your power to create your reality. It's about recognizing that the beliefs and behaviors that have held you back are not fixed, they can be changed. Once you release the old patterns, you open yourself up to new possibilities and allow yourself to step into the version of you that is capable of achieving your deepest desires. By breaking free of these limitations, you not only change your present circumstances, but you also pave the way for a future that reflects the true potential of who you are. Living from the end is a transformative approach to manifestation that shifts the way you think, feel, and act in relation to your desires. It is the practice of mentally and emotionally placing yourself in the state of already having achieved your goals, and living your life from that perspective. This method encourages you to act as if your desired outcome is not something distant or uncertain, but something that already exists. By doing so, you align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the reality you want to create, thus accelerating its manifestation in your physical world. The idea behind living from the end is simple yet profound. The present moment holds the key to creating your future. Instead of waiting for external conditions to change or improve before you feel fulfilled, successful, or happy, you generate those feelings right now in the present. You embody the version of yourself who has already attained everything you desire. This shift in perspective is not just a mental exercise, it is a complete realignment of your inner world, one that brings your outer reality into harmony with your internal state. When you live from the end, you are essentially bypassing the uncertainty, doubt, and fear that often accompany the pursuit of a goal. Many people approach their desires from a state of lack, constantly thinking about what they don't have or how far they still have to go. This creates an emotional state of wanting, which only perpetuates more wanting. By contrast, living from the end allows you to experience the emotions of already having what you want. You feel the joy, gratitude, and satisfaction that come with the realization of your desire, and as a result, you align yourself with the frequency of that reality. This emotional alignment is key, as it serves as a powerful magnetic force, drawing your desired outcome closer to you. One of the core principles of living from the end is the understanding that your imagination is the creative force behind your reality. The mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you consistently imagine yourself in the state of having already achieved your desire, your subconscious mind begins to accept this as your reality. Over time, this belief becomes embedded in your psyche, and you start to make choices, take actions, and attract circumstances that support the manifestation of that reality. The world around you begins to shift in response to the changes within you. A key part of this process is faith. When you live from the end, you must have unwavering faith that your desired outcome is not just possible, but inevitable. Faith allows you to release the need for control or micromanagement over how your goal will unfold. You trust that the universe is working in your favor, aligning people, events, and opportunities to bring your vision into fruition. This trust enables you to remain calm and patient, even when external circumstances appear unchanged. Instead of reacting to the current reality, you remain steadfast in your inner vision, knowing that the outer world will eventually reflect your inner state. Living from the end also requires a shift in identity. You must let go of the old version of yourself, the one who is still striving, hoping or doubting, and step into the identity of the person who already has everything they desire. This involves more than just thinking differently. It means embodying the behaviors, attitudes, and habits of the person you aspire to be. For example, if you desire financial abundance, you would begin to make decisions, both large and small, from the mindset of someone who is already wealthy. If you desire a loving relationship, you would act with the confidence, love, and openness of someone who already has that relationship in their life. Thank you for your time and attention, and I hope you leave here today feeling empowered to manifest the life you truly desire. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Today I want to share with you 9 powerful truths to remind yourself of everyday truths that, when practiced, can transform your life in ways unimaginable. The reality you live in today is the result of the thoughts you have repeatedly entertained in the past. Whether you're aware of it or not, you have been continuously shaping your world. The beliefs you hold about yourself, others, and the world have created the circumstances around you. If you believe that life is a struggle, filled with hardships, you will undoubtedly find yourself surrounded by challenges that reinforce that belief. On the other hand, if you hold a firm belief that the universe is abundant and full of opportunities, you will naturally attract experiences that confirm this truth. This is not to say that we consciously choose every single event in our lives. Sometimes, life presents us with situations we would never wish for. But even in those instances, the way we perceive and respond to them is still within our control. You may not be able to prevent a storm, but you can decide how you will weather it. In this way, you are always at the helm of your experience, navigating through life based on the state of your consciousness. When we speak of being the creator of your reality, it's important to recognize the power of thought. Thought is the seed from which all experiences grow. Every creation begins in the mind. The great buildings, cities, technologies, and works of art we admire today all started as ideas in someone's imagination. Similarly, every aspect of your life, your relationships, career, health, and personal growth begins with your thoughts. When you harness the power of your mind and direct it with intention, you become the architect of your future. Imagination plays a pivotal role in this process. What you imagine with feeling, you begin to experience in your outer world. The mind does not differentiate between what is imagined and what is real. It responds to both with equal intensity. This is why it is so vital to consciously engage your imagination in ways that serve your highest good. If you can see yourself living a life of joy, success, and love in your mind's eye, and you allow yourself to feel the emotions associated with that vision, you are planting the seeds for that life to materialize. However, simply imagining a better life is not enough. Creation requires belief. Your beliefs form the framework through which your reality is filtered. If you hold contradictory beliefs, if you imagine success but deep down believe you are unworthy of it, then your reality will reflect the conflict within. It's like planting a seed in barren soil. No matter how much you water it, it will not grow unless the environment is conducive to growth. You must cultivate beliefs that are in alignment with the life you wish to create. This requires inner work. It means examining your beliefs, especially those that limit you, and transforming them. The process may be uncomfortable at times as you confront old patterns of thinking that have kept you stuck, but it is necessary for growth. You must remind yourself daily that you are not a victim of circumstance, but the creator of your experience. Every time you catch yourself thinking disempowering thoughts, choose to shift them. Replace doubt with confidence, fear with faith, and limitation with possibility. It's also essential to understand the power of focus. What you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, they will multiply in your life. If you focus on opportunities, they will appear in abundance. The mind is incredibly potent in amplifying whatever it consistently dwells upon. This is why it's crucial to direct your attention toward the things you want to experience, rather than the things you wish to avoid. When you train your mind to see opportunities where others see obstacles, to expect success where others expect failure, you begin to attract those outcomes into your life. You are not a passive observer in this world. You are an active participant, continuously shaping your reality through your thoughts, beliefs, and focus. The power to create lies within you. It always has. The moment you truly accept that you are the creator of your reality, your life begins to change. You move from a place of reaction to a place of creation, and that shift is where your true power lies. Imagination is the key to transformation, a truth that is often overlooked in the fast-paced, logic-driven world we live in. Yet imagination holds the power to reshape our lives in profound ways. It is not just a tool for creativity or an escape from reality. It is the very foundation of how we create and transform our reality. Every significant change, whether in the world or within ourselves, begins with imagination. It is through imagination that we dream, innovate, and ultimately bring forth new possibilities that have the power to transform the course of our lives. At its core, imagination is the ability to form mental images, ideas, or concepts of things not physically present to the senses. But it goes beyond mere daydreaming. Imagination is a creative force that allows us to transcend our current circumstances and envision new realities. It's the seed from which all manifestation grows. Everything we see in the world around us, buildings, technology, art, societal structures, started as a thought in someone's mind, nurtured and developed through imagination before it took physical form. Imagination is the invisible blueprint for everything that becomes real. Transformation, whether it be personal growth, career success, or overcoming obstacles, begins in the mind. When we imagine a new reality for ourselves, we activate the mental process of creation. This mental vision becomes a guiding force that directs our actions, decisions, and emotions, leading us toward the transformation we seek. It's like charting a course for a journey without knowing where we want to go. We remain stuck in the same place, repeating the same patterns. Imagination gives us the destination, a vision of what could be. And from that vision, we begin to move toward it. Imagination is also the way we bridge the gap between who we are and who we wish to become. It allows us to step outside the limitations of our current identity and experience a new version of ourselves. When we close our eyes and imagine ourselves as more confident, successful, or fulfilled, we are not just indulging in fantasy, we are laying the groundwork for personal transformation. The subconscious mind, which drives much of our behavior, does not distinguish between reality and vividly imagined experiences. When we repeatedly imagine ourselves in a new way, our subconscious begins to accept that image as truth, and we start to act, feel, and live in alignment with that new reality. This transformative power of imagination has been demonstrated throughout history. Some of the greatest minds, from inventors to visionaries, relied heavily on their imagination to bring about world-changing ideas. Think of figures like Albert Einstein, who famously said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." He understood that while knowledge is limited to what we already know, imagination is boundless, allowing us to explore realms of possibility that have yet to be discovered. The greatest breakthroughs in science, art, and philosophy all stemmed from someone daring to imagine something different from the current reality. In our personal lives, imagination plays an equally vital role. It is through the creative use of our imagination that we can heal from past trauma, overcome limiting beliefs, and unlock new levels of potential. For example, when someone imagines themselves letting go of a painful memory, or sees themselves living a life free from a long-held fear, they are beginning the process of emotional transformation. The mind, when consistently exposed to these positive mental images, starts to rewire itself, forming new neural pathways that align with the imagined reality. Over time, what started as a simple exercise in imagination becomes an embodied truth. However, for imagination to truly be transformative, it must be combined with belief and feeling. It is not enough to simply picture something in your mind, you must feel the emotions of that imagined reality as if it were already true. When you feel the joy, excitement, or relief of your envisioned transformation, you create a powerful emotional signal that communicates to your subconscious mind that this new reality is possible. The mind and body begin to respond to these signals, aligning your actions, decisions, and energy with the imagined outcome. This process of combining imagination with emotion and belief is what sets true transformation into motion. Imagination is far more than a mental escape. It is a creative tool that holds the power to shape and transform our lives. By daring to imagine new possibilities, and by feeling those possibilities as real, we initiate a process of change that unfolds from the inside out. Through the consistent and intentional use of our imagination, we can break free from limiting patterns, create new realities, and ultimately transform into the people we are destined to become. The key is to embrace the power of imagination, nurture it, and trust in its ability to bring forth the transformation we seek. What you focus on expands. This simple yet profound principle has the power to shape every aspect of your life, from your relationships to your career, health, and happiness. It is a truth that underscores how our thoughts, attention, and energy directly influence our reality. Whatever we consistently focus on, whether positive or negative, grows and manifests in our lives. This is not some abstract or mystical concept. It's a fundamental law of how the human mind interacts with the world around it. At its core, this idea is based on the way our brains work. The human brain is an extraordinary filtering system. Every day we are bombarded with vast amounts of information, far more than we can consciously process. To make sense of the world, the brain filters out most of this information and focuses on what it deems important. The deciding factor for what gets through this filter is what we consistently focus on. The brain interprets our focus as a sign that something is important to us, and as a result, it starts finding more of it in our environment. On the flip side, when you focus on solutions, possibilities, and positive outcomes, you send your energy in a direction that supports growth, creativity, and progress. Focusing on the things you are grateful for example, can dramatically shift your energy and mood. Gratitude opens your mind and heart to more abundance, because when you focus on what you have, rather than what you lack, you are acknowledging that life is already full. This positive focus encourages more blessings to flow into your life. This principle doesn't mean that we should ignore challenges or pretend that problems don't exist. Instead, it's about choosing where to place the majority of our mental and emotional energy. Challenges are a part of life, but how we focus on them determines whether they will drag us down or become opportunities for growth. By focusing on solutions, resilience, and learning, we shift the narrative of our experiences. We move from a state of helplessness to one of empowerment. The more you practice this shift, the easier it becomes. Over time, your brain will start to automatically filter your experiences in a way that supports your growth and happiness. You'll begin to notice more opportunities, more reasons to be grateful, and more reasons to feel empowered. This doesn't mean that life will be without challenges, but it does mean that you'll be better equipped to handle them from a place of strength, optimism, and resilience. The power of focus lies in its ability to shape your internal and external worlds. When you focus on what you want, rather than what you don't want, you harness the creative power of your mind to expand those desires into your reality. What you focus on truly expands, and by consciously directing your focus, you have the ability to transform your life in meaningful and lasting ways. Live in the end result is a principle that calls for aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the reality of your desire being already fulfilled. Instead of waiting for external conditions to change before feeling successful, happy, or fulfilled, this approach suggests that you first embody the emotional and mental state of having achieved your goal. This idea is more than just wishful thinking. It is a profound psychological and spiritual practice that taps into the power of the subconscious mind, aligning your entire being with the future you seek to create. The concept is rooted in the understanding that the external world reflects the internal state of your consciousness. Most people approach life by responding to their circumstances. If things go well, they feel good. If things go poorly, they feel bad. But living in the end result flips this process. Rather than waiting for your circumstances to validate your emotions, you begin by cultivating the feelings and beliefs that align with your desired outcome. This practice conditions your mind and body to act as if your goals have already been achieved, thus influencing your reality in powerful ways. When you live in the end result, you are no longer thinking in terms of someday, or if you shift your mindset to a state of being where your desired outcome is already true. For instance, if you are seeking financial abundance, you don't dwell on the current lack of money or the difficulties in obtaining it. Instead, you imagine yourself already living a life of financial freedom. You embrace the feelings of security, abundance, and ease that come with it. In doing so, you align your thoughts and emotions with the reality of abundance, which begins to shift your actions, decisions, and even the opportunities you attract. The power of living in the end result lies in the fact that the subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you consistently visualize your desired outcome and embody the feelings that accompany it, your subconscious begins to accept this as your reality. Over time, it reshapes your habits, behaviors, and perceptions to align with that new reality. This is why elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, and high achievers often use visualization techniques as part of their routine. By seeing and feeling themselves already at the finish line, they condition their minds and bodies to act in ways that make that vision a reality. But the practice goes deeper than just visualization. It's about truly feeling that you are already living your desired life. The key is to cultivate the emotional state that comes with your goals' fulfillment. For example, if your desire is a loving relationship, you must first embody the feelings of love, companionship, and joy, rather than focusing on the lack of those things in your life. By doing so, you attract experiences and people that resonate with the emotional frequency you are emitting. The same applies to career success, health, personal growth, or any other area of life. Living in the end result also encourages you to stop worrying about how your goals will be achieved. Many people get caught up in the details, obsessing over the steps they need to take, or doubting whether their dreams are even possible. This doubt and focus on the how can create resistance, which blocks the flow of opportunities and solutions. When you live in the end result, you trust that the necessary steps and opportunities will unfold naturally. You let go of the need to control every aspect of the journey, knowing that the energy you put into feeling and believing in the outcome will attract the right circumstances. It's important to understand that living in the end result doesn't mean ignoring your present circumstances or pretending challenges don't exist. It's not about denying reality, it's about recognizing that your current reality is malleable and can be shaped by the state of your consciousness. You don't have to wait for your external situation to improve before you can feel the way you want to feel. Instead, you can create a shift internally first, which in turn influences your external reality. One of the most significant benefits of living in the end result is the reduction of stress and anxiety. When you believe that your desires are already fulfilled, there's no need for desperation, fear, or doubt. You operate from a place of confidence and trust. This doesn't mean you won't take action, quite the opposite. Living in the end result often motivates inspired action, but the difference is that your actions come from a place of certainty rather than fear. You move forward with the assurance that everything is already working out in your favor. Living in the end result requires practice and patience, especially if you're accustomed to focusing on lack or doubt. It's easy to fall back into old habits of worry or fear, particularly when faced with challenges. But the more you practice shifting your focus to the feeling of your desired outcome, the more natural it becomes. Over time, this practice can lead to profound changes in your life, as the internal shifts in your consciousness are reflected in the external world. Living in the end result is a way of aligning yourself with your highest potential. It's a powerful approach to life that allows you to move beyond fear, doubt, and limitation, and into a state of trust, abundance, and empowerment. By embodying the energy of your fulfilled desires, you become a magnet for the experiences, opportunities, and resources that bring those desires into reality. Persist in your assumptions is a powerful principle that teaches the importance of maintaining unwavering belief in your desired outcome, regardless of current circumstances or external challenges. This idea is rooted in the understanding that your assumptions, or the things you believe to be true, shape your reality. What you assume about yourself, others, and the world around you acts as a blueprint for how your life unfolds. To persist in your assumptions means to hold fast to the belief that what you desire is already yours, even when it appears otherwise. The power of assumption is closely tied to the workings of the subconscious mind. The subconscious does not question or rationalize, it accepts whatever you feed it as truth. Therefore, the assumptions you consistently hold will be accepted by the subconscious as your reality, regardless of whether they are true in the present moment. By persisting in a chosen assumption, you are effectively reprogramming your subconscious mind to align with the reality you desire. Over time, this shift in your internal state begins to reflect outwardly in your experiences. For example, if you desire success in your career but currently feel stuck or undervalued, persisting in the assumption that you are already successful, despite the present evidence, starts to shift your reality. Instead of focusing on your current limitations or obstacles, you focus on the feeling of having already achieved your goal. You imagine what it feels like to be recognized, valued, and thriving in your career. By persisting in this assumption, your subconscious begins to accept this as truth, and as a result, your actions, attitudes, and the opportunities you attract start to align with this new belief. This is not simply about positive thinking or wishful daydreaming. Persistence in assumption requires a deep and consistent commitment to the belief that your desired outcome is inevitable. It involves rejecting any thoughts or feelings of doubt, fear, or failure. It's a mental and emotional discipline that requires you to constantly return to the assumption of your success, even when external circumstances suggest otherwise. In this way, you train your mind to focus on what you want, rather than on what you don't want. The challenges are a natural part of life, and there will be times when external circumstances seem to contradict your assumptions. Perhaps you're trying to manifest a loving relationship, but every date goes wrong. Or maybe you're aiming for financial freedom, yet bills keep piling up. These moments of contradiction are where persistence is truly tested. It's easy to fall back into old patterns of doubt or frustration, but to persist in your assumption means to stand firm in the belief that your desired outcome is on its way, regardless of temporary setbacks. One of the key reasons this principle works is that the world around you is highly influenced by your internal state. Your beliefs, thoughts, and assumptions affect your perception, which in turn affects how you interact with the world. If you assume that opportunities are scarce, you are likely to miss them even when they are right in front of you, because your mind is conditioned to overlook them. On the other hand, if you assume that opportunities are abundant, you will naturally notice and seize them. Persistence in assumption shifts your internal filter, making you more receptive to the possibilities that align with your desires. Additionally, the energy you put out into the world is shaped by your assumptions. If you assume that you are capable, deserving, and destined for success, you will emit a confidence that draws positive experiences toward you. People respond to your energy, often without even realizing it. When you persist in an assumption of confidence and success, others start to treat you accordingly, creating a feedback loop that reinforces your belief. Conversely, if you persist in an assumption of lack or unworthiness, that too becomes your reality, as your energy repels the very things you seek. The law of assumption also teaches that time is irrelevant when it comes to manifestation. Your desired outcome exists in a state beyond time. It is the persistence of your assumption that draws it into your present reality. Many people give up on their dreams or desires because they don't see immediate results. But manifestation doesn't operate on a human timeline, it operates on belief. The moment you persist in your assumption, the process begins. Whether it takes days, months, or years to materialize is not as important as your ability to hold on to the belief that it will happen. When you persist, you build an unshakable faith that what you desire is already yours, and it will manifest in its own perfect timing. However, persisting in your assumptions also requires self-awareness. You must be willing to examine your habitual thoughts and beliefs, many of which operate below the surface. If you continually affirm that you are successful but carry deep-seated beliefs of unworthiness or failure, these underlying assumptions will sabotage your efforts. Persistence requires you to root out these limiting beliefs and replace them with new, empowering assumptions that support the reality you want to create. This can be a challenging process, as it involves confronting old patterns and emotional wounds, but it is essential for true transformation. Ultimately, to persist in your assumptions is to claim your power as a creator of your reality. It is a practice of faith, discipline, and inner alignment. By holding firm to the assumption of your desired outcome, no matter what external circumstances arise, you set in motion the forces that will bring that outcome into your life. This principle allows you to transcend the limitations of your current reality and step into a future that is shaped by your deepest desires and beliefs. The world will eventually conform to your assumptions, but only if you persist.